Liverpool Tower, this is Golf, Bravo, Romeo, Golf, India, Pan. I have engine failure. I'm currently southwest of your location.
Golf, India.
Hey guys, welcome back to Sim UK, and thank you so much for all of your comments and likes and suggestions. You have very much helped to shape today's video. Now I do need to make some corrections from my previous review, thanks to Sick SRT4, who correctly pointed out that AccuFeel is included with Flight Sim World and not AccuSim. Quite correctly corrected me there, and A2A specific enhanced aircraft flight model is AccuSim, and that is not part of Flight Sim World. Although that being said, they are working with A2A, so I wouldn't be that surprised to see something from A2A in the coming weeks and months perhaps. And seeing as they sort of hands down across the board have produced the greatest Cessna to date, and most definitely the greatest Comanche 250 hands down, chances are they might be in a prime position to produce something along those lines. A couple of shout outs today. Silverhood Gaming, this chap is extremely talented. I can tell already he's got a great future ahead of him. Does YouTube videos in German and English, so swing on over there and give him a look, and give him some thumbs up if you like his content. And a special shout out for Dovetail Games. This has not been requested, this is just me saying thank you to Dovetail Games. Definitely head over to his channel and watch what he's doing over there. But the key thing for me is that he has discovered how to import freeware scenery into Flight Sim World from FSX. So yeah, we'll be testing that out, and kudos, much appreciated. So guys, some of you have sort of pointed out that you're not experiencing the same crashes or serious issues that I am, which is good to hear, and yeah, maybe it's specific to my configuration, but seeing as I'm using the exact graphics card that's recommended for both minimal and recommended settings, I rather suspect that that isn't going to be the issue. I've done some tests in this area, and I'll be discussing that in greater detail too. Another great question that came in from Nicholas Letikanga. I may have mispronounced your name there, I apologise if that's the case, but he asked whether or not Saitek equipment was going to work with Flight Sim World. Now, way back before even this early access was released, Flight Sim World did confirm that they were going to be working with companies like Saitek. Now, since that time, Saitek have ported over or been bought out by, well, they were officially Mad Cats in the background, but Mad Cats and Saitek have done a deal, and now Saitek is part of the Logitech team. So I'm not sure where we are with that, but I did some tests with my full Saitek setup system, and I'll be sharing the results with you on that. There's been an update in the last week. I'll discuss what I can about that too, and I'll also be checking out the recording options within Flight Sim World. So stay tuned guys, and I hope you find today's video helpful and informative. So guys, I'll start off today with performance and full screen issues. Now this seems to be predominantly something that I'm suffering with. I have seen a few ripples within the community to suggest that this is a further affecting more people than just me, but to be honest, not huge amounts. Recommendation from Flight Sim World or Dovetail Games is to use windowed mode as opposed to full screen mode. So presumably they are aware of some issues, and no doubt they are working on fixing those. Many of you have said that you're running in full screen, holding a solid 30 FPS, some with you using multiple screens. That's good. My system actually meets recommended specs, all bar my CPU, which is fractionally sub-powered. I mean, it's an i7, so it's not a slouch, but it is a bit dated. It's an i7 4770. It's a little bit older than the recommended minimum CPU, and according to CPU Boss, it is a smidge underpowered. What is interesting though is that my CPU outperforms the recommended CPU, which is the i7 6700K. So make of that what you will. Perhaps even more interestingly, I've been doing some tests and I've found that if I utilize NVIDIA's surround screen, then I can get more than a solid 30 FPS and no stutter at all when in full screen. Just to clarify on that point, that's 5760 by 1080, which is almost 4K, and it runs like a dream. So my system is not the problem here. There is, I think, something wrong within the title itself. That might be hardware specific. I can't really say at this moment. I have no suitable answers to explain why I cannot run just a single 1080 screen in full screen, nor can I run 3 screens at 1080. As soon as I go into full screen, everything falls apart unless I am running 5760 by 1080, in which case I can go full screen and I get solid 30 FPS. So there's definitely an issue there. Not entirely sure what that is. I have looked for other people having the same issues. There's a few popping up here, there and everywhere about full screen problems, but it seems that I am alone with this particular problem. Unfortunately, as I am running these tests in a family environment space, time and resources are limited and I cannot test this on another PC or with different hardware combinations. So I will just have to wait for updates and for more information to emerge. Until I do that though, until I find an answer, then I'm quite happy to play between 5760 1080 or in windowed mode for now. Some good news next. Scenery imports from FSX. Obviously Flight Sim World is in early access. There's no downloadable content currently available for this, but in time there will be. But for those of you who just cannot bear to fly around with the default scenery and airports as they are, which in my opinion is actually vastly better than FSX, but there is a temporary solution. I mentioned in the opening credits Dovetail Games, who I believe initially discovered this method, which allows you to import FX scenery into Flight Sim World. Very simple process. You literally copy and paste from FSX into Flight Sim World and then update a single config file. By his own admission, this is not perfect and some issues will likely occur. Things like some elements of 3D modeling will not render properly and some buildings will become see-through as a result. That's just an example. There could be many other variations. No doubt Dovetail will at some point implement a DLC installation method which is both more automated and far more successful. It's nice to know that there is at least a potential for FSX scenery to be updated to 64-bit and work in Flight Sim World. So our fingers are crossed there. Maybe some smart chap out there will be able to figure out how to do that for everybody. But for now though, this approach seems to be a decent temporary solution, and if you want a little bit more authenticity in your flight sim, this is probably the way to go. I will be in the next couple of weeks picking some freeware. I'm going to try and find something for Toronto, which was recommended by Seth Riggs. Thank you, Seth, as I'm planning on flying a route on that in the next couple of weeks, let's say. So for now at least, the best thing you can do is head over to Dovetail Games, have a look at their content there. They've only got a few subscribers. I think they definitely deserve more credit where it's due, and I believe this is where a bit of decent credit is deserved, and definitely some thumbs up for figuring out this scenery import solution. I was asked by Nicholas Letikunga, apologies again if I've mispronounced your name there, but he asked me a very, very valid question about whether or not Saitek controllers and panels work in Flight Sim World. Now, a long time ago I read that Dovetail Games were working directly with Saitek. That was before the Logitech buyout, and things sounded pretty promising. So I was confident that that was going to be implemented in Flight Sim World. It doesn't appear that it is at the moment, and I'm not sure where that stands. I've seen lots of people ask this question. It's obviously a big, big, big thing. I have invested a lot of money in Saitek controllers and panels, and I know a lot of you have as well. It would be a ludicrous decision for Flight Sim World not to include Saitek support. that would be, I think, perhaps even the beginning of the end, because people who have invested heavily in Saitek panels are not about to throw them in the bin. It's simply not going to happen. Especially when you consider that X-Plane 11 has full support for Saitek panels, and they do work superbly over there, and I'll be utilising my Saitek setup a lot more in X-Plane 11 in the coming weeks and months as well. So I currently have two sets of Saitek controllers at this point. I have a Rhino X56 and the Pro Flight system, which comprises of the Cessna yoke, 2 throttle quadrants and rudder pedals. I also have the radio, multi-panel and switch panel. The Saitek panels do suffer with an issue when attached to Windows 10. This is a Windows 10 specific issue, and this is part of the reason why I have flown very few flight sim videos on my channel, and also the reason why I have recently purchased the Rhino X56. To get Saitek panels working with Windows 10, you need to apply a fix to the registry, as the panels draw a little bit too much power and they require permanent power when connected as a USB device. Kudos to the guys over at On the Glide Scope. This is a fantastic YouTube channel again. I highly recommend you check him out. I've no doubt that you'll like it. I have found a slightly easier method than the one that's suggested there, which I will put into a video and share with you as soon as I can. So I have completely uninstalled all of my Saitek drivers and software and reinstalled everything just to make sure the installation works as expected and that there were no unexpected issues that I needed to solve along the way. I'm happy to report that the installation was pretty seamless for the yoke, the rudder and the throttle quadrants. Unfortunately, Saitek panels do not appear to work at all with Flight Sim World. I've tried numerous configurations, but so far no wins whatsoever. As the internal cockpits of aircraft are not even finished yet, I suspect that this is probably a considerable part of the reason why panels are not working. If you haven't finished building the internal cockpit of aircraft, then having panels working is probably a bit difficult. So I'm certain, I definitely read somewhere that they will be supported, or at least hoping to be supported, and hopefully that will be the case sooner rather than later. If you are super desperate, then spad.next appears to be a viable and working solution. It's been tested by some and proven to be working with Flight Sim World, so that's promising at least. The only negative side of that is that at $90 or £90, I forget how much it is, it's an expensive workaround. In my humble opinion, it's massively overpriced, especially when you consider that Flight Sim World is working with Saitek, aka Logitech, and there is a good chance that support will come. If it doesn't, then that would be the end of my journey with Flight Sim World. I would just take X-Plane 11 and run with it, which is a shame, and I think would be a terrible marketing decision. Hopefully, I have no confirmation of this, but hopefully Saitek panels will be working with Flight Sim World before the year is out. So in addition to everything else that I've discussed today, Dovetail Games have released their first update, which is version 1.0.16555. That's out and available now. You should already be updated if you're running this on Steam, which may even be the only way you can run this actually. I haven't looked. So this addresses brightness issues on runways, improved lighting on autogen buildings and AI, improving light on the horizon, translation fixes in the UI for German and French. Music tick box is now ticked when the music slider at 0. Quitting a lesson now returns to the lesson screen. Disabled state option implemented in repeat drop down in key assigned panel. Livery of the aircraft in Scud runner mission changed to reflect the UI. Heavily revised audio for both the PA34 and the PA46. Momentum effect applied to all aircraft default cockpit views. It's a 48 megabyte update and should download automatically from this point onward, blah 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 blah. Nothing incredibly amazing there. I'll be honest, the issues to brightness and lighting Maybe if I rolled my system back and checked it out sort of one against one, I'd notice a difference, but overall I don't see that much significant impact on that. Some of the serious issues have not been addressed. I'm still having some problems with braking, etc. But as we move forward, as we progress on, I'm sure more updates and fixes will come. I've tried logging into the forums. There seems to be a serious issue with Dovetail Games live account, I think it's called. Dovetail Live, which is in itself is in alpha version 1.0. Although I'm logged in, registered, and I have my Steam account bound to that login, for some reason I cannot log in on the forum itself. It will not allow me to do it. Invalid username or password. That being said, if I try and register whilst on the forum, it won't let me do it because my email address already exists. If I come out of that and go into Dovetail Live within the game itself, it will let me log in using the same password that is my password. I think you get the gist of this here. They have some serious issues. It's annoying and it's frustrating. Clearly, some people are able to log in and work and use things. Other people, like myself, appear not to be able to, which is incredibly frustrating. So I cannot ask questions and I cannot comment on comments that are already there. I did notice actually whilst I was flicking through some people's forum comments that it might be possible that you can use the Saitek panel software to bind key movements to keys within Flight Sim World. So rather than in X-Plane 11 where you plug the Saitek panels in and they come on and they just work with what's there, you would have to individually bind all buttons and key presses in order to get something out of it. That would be an awful lot of work, and in the next couple of weeks or months maybe, I suspect that they will work together, in which case you'll have wasted all that time. But it's entirely up to you if you want to dive in and test that. But like I say, I'm unable to comment, so I haven't been able to speak to that person and ask them whether they have fully tested and whether or not it's working in every avenue. And to be perfectly honest with you, I do not have the time nor the inclination to go through and do all of that just now. So as far as the update is concerned, it's a small one. It addresses some issues. Some of the drop down repeater buttons in menus have been fixed, so you can disable them, which is good. That was causing an issue and may, I think, have contributed to the brake problem perhaps. I'm not entirely sure about that, but overall, and not that impressed with the update, but it's nice to see that they're releasing updates already, and it doesn't seem to have made anything worse, which is the best kind of update in my opinion. So guys, I just want to say thank you very much for watching and giving me all your support. Keep your comments coming. They're really helping me out. They're informative, they're interesting, and they help structure the next video because I know what you guys are interested in hearing about. In addition to that, please check out my Flight Sim World tutorial LAPL license. I'm going to do all of those and then we'll move on to the next license. And also every week, every Monday, I will endeavour to get a mission or a challenge completed and uploaded so that you can see that as well. That's pretty much from me. Thank you very much for watching. Remember to hit that like button if you liked the video. If you didn't, then don't. Until next week, take care of yourselves. Goodbye for now.